Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we are doing 1979's Salem's Lot.
Ooh, I'm a spooky vampire.
Ooh.
I have to swim.
Just float, bro. I don't know what this was. Just float. They all float.
You gotta see, hey, Georgie, we all float down here. So if you want to reach out to us on the social medias, if you want to follow us, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Kiss the Reviews. If you want to subscribe to us on Patreon, the barrier of entry is $2 a month. We got a couple of different tiers, and we have gifts for our $10 subscribers, some KTR merch. So there's exclusive stickers, mini prints, coffee mugs, T-shirts.
Half-eaten walnuts by squirrels.
Exactly.
Fedoras. Golf clubs for children.
Autographed roaches from Corey.
Yeah.
What,
bro? That's crazy. I will sign that, though. That'd be fucking rad if I just signed joints and mailed them out.
There you go.
Rad. I wish you could do that. That's the world I want to live in.
You know what? That's the world I want to live in too.
That's the next stage, I think, of my celebrity is going to be my own weed strain. When I get that,
I like it.
I'm good. I've made it in life. My fucking father will be so disappointed, and my mom will be like, yes, let's get lit. So it'll be a mixed bag.
I like it. I'll be there for you. I'll be first person in line.
Yeah, and you can get free weed all of a sudden. Now you got my back.
That's right.
Motherfucker.
As long as there's something in it for me, I'm there for you.
Hell yes.
Well, let's get into this. Let's get into the cast of Salem's Lot. So this film stars David Soul as Ben Mears, James Mason as Richard Straker, Lance Kerwin as Mark Petrie, and Bonnie Bedelia as Susan Norton. I say we just dive right into this because I think I even texted you right before. I was like, I just want to make sure that I'm watching the right thing. It's been a long time since I've seen this. I forgot this was a made-for-TV movie, which Stephen King stuff, books were all made-for-TV movies at some point. And I think it was just because they wanted it to be like or at least closer to the book. And the only way to do that is to make a goddamn movie 3 hours fucking long.
And here's the most ironic part about that is it's not closer to the book. It's so far off. I will say this right now, just for anybody that's going to click off of this, like anger click off, because they're like, you don't like Salem's Lot, you don't understand classic horror. Like, shut the fuck up, first of all, because this is my favorite Stephen King story, period.
Yeah.
Love it. I know this fucking story inside and out.
Yep.
This movie ain't it. The Rob Lowe version they did with like Rob Lowe and Samantha Mathis and I think Rutger Hauer. That movie was the shit. Good.
Do you think they should remake it or like?
Well, they are.
Yeah. Well,
they don't give a fuck what I say. But yeah.
I know. Do you think they should, or is it like the Rob Lowe one? You're like, we're good there.
No,
does it need an update?
It doesn't need an update off of the Rob Lowe one. The Rob Lowe one still very much plays, and it plays so much better than the 70s version. Gotcha. That being said, I don't mind remakes when they're remakes of this kind of story. You know what I mean? Like Salem's Lot, good book. Everybody's heard of it.
Yeah.
Few people, I think, have probably seen the 70s version, unless you're like into horror like that, especially nowadays because there are so many other vampire movies.
Yeah.
And two, Stephen King notoriously does not translate at all. So anytime somebody's going to take the opportunity to remake Stephen King, I'm there for it. Kind of like It. Yeah. I love Tim Curry's Pennywise. Bill Skarsgård was the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not one of those guys like, you're ruining my childhood. I'm like, fuck no. Let's modernize this. Let me see what you can do.
Yeah. 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot better than fucking vampires that are doing the goddamn breaststroke like they're fucking Michael Phelps.
Can I say this? Talking about ruining your childhood, and then we'll jump in.
Being turned into a vampire would ruin your childhood?
I do remember this from the made for TV, you know, because when I was a kid, I know I didn't see this when it originally came out, but this was on TV multiple times throughout my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I was scared shitless as a kid from these child vampires at the window. I have never, I know we've done it a few times where we're like, holy shit, I really like this movie as a kid. And as an adult, I'm like, wow, not good. I was scared shitless of those scenes when I was a kid. And I laughed out loud when I saw this shit this time around.
Yeah. The kids, Barlow, even the main vampire who is played by Rutger Hauer in the Rob Lowe version. So fucking good.
Yeah.
They all look fake. They look laughable at this point. For the time, it was dope. Especially for like a made-for-TV movie. Totally dope. But yeah, this now as a grown adult that can process thought and feelings.
Exactly.
I honestly didn't empathize. The main character's a writer, and I couldn't empathize with him.
Fair point.
I had an easier time empathizing with Rocky through 1, 2, and 3, and I've never won a fight in my life.
On that note, let's jump into this. So we have the movie opening in like this church in Mexico where Ben and Mark are getting holy water and one of the bottles starts glowing. And we cut to like 2 years earlier where Ben, who's a writer, travels back to his like childhood home of Salem's Lot. And he's writing a book about this creepy house in Salem's Lot that overlooked the whole town. And he goes to like the real estate agent to ask about renting the house, but Richard Straker beat him to it. And so now he's staying at like this, like, I don't know, like an Airbnb in the 70s.
I think they called those boarding homes back then.
But the whole beginning of this movie basically just deals with Ben returning to Salem's Lot and the people he meets. And everybody there, it's like he grew up in Salem's Lot. Like, you and I have both been in towns and lived in towns like this, right? Where we don't like outsiders kind of thing. Not in my town. So we've been to those towns.
They're eating the dogs.
He's from the fucking town. And these people are like, who's that? That's Ben Mears. I heard he's a writer. You heard because he's fucking from there. Everybody treats him like this big city, like big shot. No, I mean, he might be because like he's this big city writer guy, but he grew up there. Everybody treats him like he's a fucking stranger. But
yeah, again, they explain this in the book.
Yes.
Stephen does, not they. But Stephen explains this in the book. I call him Stephen. We're friends. It's cool.
I get it.
Sometimes when we're chilling on the lake, I call him Steve-O, but he likes Steven. He's very formal like that.
You were correct.
This is where the problems come in with any of Stephen King's movies. If you don't give them time, and especially the movie or a show, or Jesus, Murphy, a movie like this, where there are so many characters.
Yeah,
you have to build these background, and all of these characters, of course, in his book have these huge background, like the boarding house he's staying in, and Ava Miller, and like she used to be like this real fucking hot dish back in the day.
Yeah,
she's always had the affinity for the town drunk, and she takes care of him. Blah blah. Like there's this whole story there that they just kind of whitewash.
Yeah, you only get like a little piece.
Yeah, Ava married this fella called Weasel Phillips. Thin as a heron's leg, smelled like a skunk, never made a decent living. Nobody could figure out why. They got divorced, but he's still living over there.
Yeah, like her and the town drunk are close. They're spying on Ben, and she's got big titties and a nice face for everyone else in the town.
Yeah.
End of discussion.
That's it. That's it.
Like there's so much background. And again, this is why the Rob Lowe, which I'm going to keep referring to more than even the book, is more true to the book, because they go into all of this. Even if it is exposition dumps where you're like, that's this person, that's this person, that's this person.
Yeah.
They don't have a problem doing that. And I appreciate that more than just kind of leaving it to hope you read.
Yeah. No,
especially for a new audience today.
Yeah.
Nobody reads. Trust me. Nobody reads.
I bought your book.
You didn't read it.
I sure did. But so we get all the people he meets and blah, 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 but he reconnects with an old teacher of his, Jason. So we do get some exposition of Ben's like interaction with the Marston house in Salem's lot. The rest of the town seems suspicious of Ben, but Ben also meets Susan, and they begin to date like immediately. Like he's there, they meet, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on, hot stuff? And let's go down by the lake and like let me touch your butt or whatever."
I'm not gonna lie to you. If you have a meet cute where somebody's reading the book you wrote and your picture's on the back, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna fuck."
If that's fair, that's fair.
It's gonna happen. I don't know why it's a thing. It's a thing.
That's fair. I'm not even going to question it, but
no, it's really weird. I still don't understand it, but I'm taking all of it. All of it.
But we have the Straker here, right? And he's got like the little antique shop, and he's working for Barlow, and Barlow's nowhere to be found, yada, yada. So he hires Cully to pick up this crate that's coming by boat and deliver it to the Marston house. And instead, Cully hires Ned, who's Susan's like ex-boyfriend or whatever, and Mike to do this job so he can spy on his wife, who's having an affair with Larry, the real estate guy.
Who's played by Fred Willard, by the way.
Fred Willard, again, we've already talked to him. Like, he's one of my favorite actors. Like, I love this guy. And he doesn't disappoint here either.
No.
This storyline, I almost enjoyed more than the actual whole movie. The whole real estate agent, the slutty secretary, who's, okay, I just want to touch on this real quick. This chick is not married to this guy. Can we just throw that out there?
Corey's Life Lessons.
Hi, kids. Uncle Corey here. So, you find yourself caught up in an affair with a married, insatiable motherfucking dickpin. Fine. We've all been there. It happens.
It does.
However, when your intuition is saying, her husband knows, said motherfucking dick pig doesn't need you that night. Whether she says she's going to go out and find somebody else, she's going to do this, she won't do that anymore, whatever the fuck, follow your intuition, and that'll keep a shotgun out of your mouth. Because that's how that always ends.
I'm gonna tag this and say, if she's got red hair, run. Just run.
Oh no!
It always ends poorly. Always
if you're gonna run from a redhead, call me and I'll investigate. I went down that road and I ain't afraid. I'm not afraid.
I'm glad you're not.
The ginger.
But we also meet Mark Petrie, who's in his creepy ass room reading the book / play that he's working on. His father is not pleased with his fascination with the dark arts. And we also get the Glick boys here, who are friends with Mark, and they they disappear in the woods. Danny Glick shows up in his backyard, collapses in front of his parents. They take him to the hospital. And we also have Straker showing up at the house where the two morons dropped off the crate that they picked up. And they literally just like toss it in the basement. They're like, hey, we should put chains on this. Fuck it, we'll throw it in the basement on the floor next to the crate. Cool.
Dude, I
And the
would have
crate's
left
all
it.
busted out.
I would have left it in the fucking truck. It was moving. The
Yes.
crate is moving. Every time I'm the crate, right? I'm driving in the truck, and I look back, and the crate's not moving. As soon as I do this, the crate's like, whoop. It's like a fucking cartoon. And these guys are like, no, let's just get it out of here and go. Fuck that. They can keep the truck. It's not even my truck. Keep it.
Yes, this is Cully's truck. I'm throwing this fucker in park and going, hey, Cully, it's parked like 15, 20 miles that way. Just go grab it. We didn't finish the job.
Yeah, and Collie doesn't give a fuck because he's beating the shit out of his ginger wife at this point.
Here comes Big Bad Bear.
We also get Susan and Ben. They're by the lake when they hear this car pull up, another one speed off. And when they investigate, they find Larry, the cable guy, Larry, the real estate guy. He's sitting behind the steering wheel of his car and he's dead. So we get some random stuff here because the cops come and investigate this piece. And they're suspicious of Ben. And Danny Glick at night wakes up and he has his zombie-looking brother Ralphie floating and scratching at the bedroom window. And he gets out of bed, lets him in. And this is like when his parents take him out. Like this middle piece here, it jumps around so much. And again, going back to the whole, I thought the Ralphie at the window was super scary. And all I'm thinking now, it looked like somebody was behind, like it looked like he was in the director's chair and they were just like because he's in a seated position.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they got him on lifts, like, you know, he's got the belt around him. He's literally in a seated position, like, and it literally looks like there's no fog machine. Somebody's just behind him with a cigarette, like.
It's the same guy that's holding him up. This is just, it's bad. It doesn't. It might have been the shit back then.
Yeah, I get it. It was
doesn't play
1970. I get it. It was 1979, but there was a lot of things back in the 70s that still hold up. Jaws still holds up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because they just didn't show everything because it was kind of shitty. And they should have watched this version and gone, that doesn't look right. Let's do something let's not show a lot of this. Maybe add to some suspense.
If they didn't show any more of this, there wouldn't have been a movie because they barely touched the surface of the goddamn book.
You were correct.
Again, that's why I like the remake, because the remake of Rob Lowe is going to be really good and sticks to the book. And now you build off that for what's about to come out. It's like they just did the same thing with The Stand on Paramount Plus. They remade that and put that out. The updated version is so much better.
Yeah.
So much better. And it sticks, again, more true to the book. It's like storytelling just evolved in such a way where you can get through character background quickly.
Yeah.
Where before it doesn't seem like they really grasped how to do that. Maybe because it was so formulaic. You know what I mean?
I'll agree with that. I'll definitely agree with that. But we also get later that night while what's his nuts? Danny Glick is at the hospital. Mm-hmm. Ralphie visits him again and gets a little bitey on his neck, and the nurse finds Danny dead the next morning.
You know what? You know what Danny said?
What?
When he bit his neck?
What?
Oh no, step bro.
Oh no, real bro.
Oh no, real bro.
I slipped and bit your neck.
This scene is shown at the beginning of every NAMBLA meeting.
But we then cut to Danny's funeral. And this is where Mike Ryerson is filling in Danny's grave after everybody leaves, and he goes into like this trance, jumps into the grave, opens the coffin, and there's Danny in there with his eyes wide open and glowing, and Danny sits up, bites him on the neck, and
this was the one that got me as a kid. The quick jump scare of him, just kind of like, oh, the clouds look silly, and then that was dope.
Yeah, but things here continue to get amped up in Salem's Lot. You have Mike collapsing on Ben's table at the restaurant, talking like a heroin addict. So Jason invites him to stay at his house where Mike dies. You have Mark visited by vampire Danny in the middle of the night, but Mark resists the vampire trance and holds up the crucifix to ward off the evil. Really quick. And I don't even know if I want to do it. Don't do that. But if you're Jason in this scenario, like they're sitting in this like little restaurant tavern kind of place, and Mike comes in, and he just collapses on the table. Then they sit him down. They're like, "Are you on drugs?" And he just rambles like a heroin, like he's all methed the fuck out. And this is more of a bath salts situation, I think. And then he's like, "Do you want to come stay at my house?" Don't invite the guy to your house. That's first of all. Second of all, if you do invite him, tie this motherfucker down. Okay? Because it ain't safe. Especially back then. They didn't even lock their doors back then.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to what you said. Don't invite this motherfucker to your house. And if you decide you're going to invite this motherfucker to your house, see rule number 1. Do not invite this motherfucker to your house. This is why I hate small towns.
Yes.
You just come stay with me. Fuck you. If I can't get you to the hospital, I will call 911. As a matter of fact, that's always the best option.
Yep.
I don't wear lab coats, so I don't doctor people.
You were correct.
In this whole thing, you have the teacher getting the visit from the recently deceased vampire Mike. He shoots him out the window with the crucifix, and then the teacher has a heart attack, and he goes to the hospital. Ben's already in the hospital because he gets the holy shit beat out of him by Ned, Susan's like ex-boyfriend. And while Ned's in the clink for beating the shit out of Ben, he gets attacked by Nosferatu, and Marjorie Taylor Glick here dies as well. And Susan tells Ben about this, and there's bodies disappearing from the morgue. And this is where Barlow then shows up with Straker at Mark's house and kills his parents and kills a priest as he lets Mark run away. I know there's a lot to unpack there, but a lot is happening in this piece because they're cutting from the hospital back to Jason, back to Mark's house. So there's just a lot of moving pieces.
Jerusalem's lot is getting a topsy-turvy. That's my only comment. Like, shit's getting complicated.
You were right.
There's a lot going on. They're rushing through everything.
They really are.
I get it. You have a lot to unpack, but also you're the ones that decided to shoot a Stephen King movie and make it a movie. Or Stephen King book and make it a movie. So, not our fault. You took on the responsibility. Figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they do in the Rob Lowe remake. Which I hate that I have to say Rob Lowe's name this many times.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
We have here Ben and Susan's father. They go to the morgue and they see Margie Glick. She wakes up, attacks them. Ben burns her with a tongue depressor cross, and she just disappears.
The use of the Lord's tools is kind of loose. Right?
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
what exactly? Like, I have to bless water, but popsicle sticks held together like this is a cross? But
Well,
me
it's
putting
like-
my fingers together like this isn't?
Well, you have to like at least read one passage from the Bible in front of the like with the cross in front of you, and now it has powers. So
The path
now,
of the righteous man is beset. That's the only one I would know. I would just do the whole
That would be
monologue
fine.
from Pulp Fiction.
that's fine. That would work. That would give the popsicle sticks powers, but you have to make sure that they're taped.
Dude,
Like, they
I
got-
would be such a dope vampire killer. But I'd also get canceled because when I do that monologue, I have to do it in full blackface in the Jerry. I could kill one vampire, but if he Instagrams that kill, I'm fucked. You know what I'm saying?
Don't be like Shannon Sharp. Don't go IG live in that shit.
It was me being a healthy, active male.
If you thought this fucking town was already like up Shit's Creek at this point, you had no fucking idea. Everyone at this point in the whole town is either dead or is gone. Like they've left. Even the cop is like, fuck this noise. Hey, Ben, here's my gun. Deucing out with my family. I'm gone.
Yeah.
And
I don't like Ben is even telling was Susan here?
yeah.
Like she's like, I got a job interview in Boston. He's like, great, fucking go. But
Yeah.
I gotta stay to write my book. Take a picture of the fucking house. If you remember it, like you say, it caused you so much trauma as a child that you see it and you break out in a cold sweat that you don't even realize is happening until you can get your gaze off of this evil house.
Hey, don't talk
You
about the
don't
gays like
remember
that.
the fucking details.
No, he's going into detail when he's talking to Jason about the house.
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah, you can remember, you have the memories, you know the stories, write the goddamn book.
Yeah.
You obviously have those feelings. You don't need to be in the goddamn town. And you know what? Just like go a town over. Is that okay? Can you stay at the town over and get some goddamn binoculars and just look out the thing?
The best thing about being a writer is you can literally do it from anywhere.
Anywhere.
You know why I became a writer? I'm wanted in 13 states. Got to make money somehow.
Hell yes.
Instead of leaving town for, her new job, Susan decides to go to the Marston house and sees Mark like sneaking in, and she follows him into the house.
Fucking kids.
Mark,
Kids in horror movies. You got Susan killed. Fine ass, young ass Bonnie Bedelia got killed.
yeah.
Ben only got to smash what? Once? He barely is going to remember what that was like.
Yeah.
This is bullshit.
I mean, y'all thought I was bull jiving.
Not our fault you wanted a fucking father figure to go to Mexico with vampires. Don't get fucking other people killed because of it.
Yeah,
Shit-ass.
and Mark gets knocked out by Straker. Susan gets taken to Barlow Ferratu in the basement where, he has his way with her apparently, but she just disappears from the movie for a while. Mark very easily gets out and escapes because Straker like just ties him up and like, I guess I'll leave you here. So he leaves, Mark escapes. And this is where Ben and Susan's dad get into the house. They see Mark. Mark's like, I got to come help you.
Mm-hmm.
So Susan's dad gets killed by Straker. Ben shoots and kills Straker, and it takes him forever to die. And Mark and Ben, after falling into the basement, find the whole root cellar where all the residents of Salem's lot, who are now vampires, are all sleeping around Barlow Ferratu's little coffin. But they get him out and they kill Barlow here. He looks like he's from Blue Man Group.
Mm-hmm.
I
He
thought he was
looks
going to get out.
ridiculous, dude.
I
His
thought he was going to
teeth
get out and play the
are-
drums.
He looks like he's in Blue Man Group with walrus teeth. You look ridiculous, sir. You are no Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise.
Yeah. Well, and
Mr.
the
Barlow.
funny thing, this is the funniest thing about the whole this whole scene. Like Mark's like keeping all the vampires in the root cellar, and Ben's killing Barlow and putting the stake in his heart. And then they're like, all right, we got to get the hell out of here. Right? There's vampires and shit. So we need to light this place on fire. They don't look for Susan at all. They're just like, I mean, listen, good on them. That's what you should do here. But also, most movies and or books for that matter would have like them search the house for the book. I get why they don't, and it comes here later, but they're just like, deuces, gasoline on the house, we outie.
Every other vampire movie, they search for the damsel in distress.
Yeah.
And when she's turned, it's sad, and oh my God, and I'm going to save you, and magically, you know, I'm going to kill the head vampire all of a sudden to release you from the Not this time. It's go fuck yourself, Susan. We aren't sticking around for dark. Bye-bye. Yes.
And we get to the final scenes of the movie where it revisits the opening scene. They have the glowing bottle of holy water, which apparently is signaling that one of the vampires has found them.
Mm-hmm.
Mark and Ben return to their little bungalow where Susan is lying nice and sexily on the bed.
It is now, Ben. Ben, I'm a sexy vampire. Do you remember when you left me, Ben? Oh, I'm a sexy vampire, Ben. Do you want me to take a bite out of you? Fuck off, Susan. We know you're a fucking vampire.
She's lying on the bed with her eyes closed, and she's like, I'm a slutty vampire. You were so difficult to find. And when she opens her eyes, they glow. She's obviously a vampire. Ben leans down to kiss her. He impales her with the wooden stake, and then Mark and Ben move on because apparently there will be others, so they gotta go. So they dip. Movie ends. I mean, listen.
I'm bored from this description.
Can't you? Listen, Susan looks fine as fuck, vampire or not. She's a slutty vampire. I've seen these at Halloween parties multiple times, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, you know how you don't get bent? You bend them over.
Hot
tip, Ben Mears. Anybody who has the opportunity to sex up a hot vampire, bend them over. They can't bite you.
Like just one last time.
Yeah, stay away from the teeth. That's all you have to do.
That's it.
Get hard like a man and do it yourself.
Is this a horror classic? Sure. Right? Mm-hmm. You got a lot of people's names attached to this, right? Obviously Stephen King and Tobe Hooper. And so there's a lot of famous horror people's names attached to this. Is it a horror classic? Sure. Is it my cup of tea? No. For me, it hasn't aged well.
Well, no, that's the whole problem with it. You know, is the story good? Yeah. The book is fucking amazing still to this day. And the story can be translated to a modern version as demonstrated by the later remakes.
Who made that movie? Who was in that?
Samantha Mathis, Andre Braugher, Rutger Hauer. I don't think he was in that one. I don't know.
Yes.
This is literally the 70s of 70s of 70s, and you could tell what they were doing. It was Nosferatu. It was Dark Shadows, if you're an aficionado of that old school shit. But like that's what they were going for really with this, and less of actually sticking to Salem's Lot. They wanted to run the hype on vampires. Quick and easy way. Let's just buy the story, adapt it, shoot it. Good to go. So I recommend the book. I recommend
the book is good. I really like the book.
I love the fuck. Like I said, it's my favorite Stephen King story. I absolutely love it. And I'm not even a big vampire guy. I just love that story. It's so good. And just about a whole town full of the worst fucking people in the world. It's awesome. And most of them getting their just desserts, which is even better.
Yeah.
But this being like, I would go book, Rob Lowe's version, the new version that I haven't seen yet, and then the 70s version.
Yeah.
Simply because it is so drenched in 70s, as Armando said.
Yeah.
It just doesn't translate to today. It's a hard watch.
Yeah. Well, and we've like I've said before, we've seen other movies that were made in the 70s that still translate, and even some of them that still have that 70s look and feel still translate to this day. But there's like Jaws again, some of the clothing, and you get the clothing from that time, and you're like, kind of dates it a little bit. Jaws, not so much. Like there's movies like that were made in the 70s, like even like Rocky and some of these other ones that you're like, dude, everything translates, right? And I get it, it's horror, it's different. There's a lot more practical effects. Obviously, there's no CGI and yada yada. But I'm not even talking about that. You got the kid in the chair and the scratching on the window. Those effects kind of suck.
Yeah.
But again, at the end of the day, I'll write that off if the movie's good. You know what I mean? Like I'll write a lot of that off. I wasn't. Some of these that are a little bit more chintzy, that are classic horror films, I'm still bought in because the story's good. The way this was written and the way it was shot and everything about it just kind of fell short. And not to be like the book is better. I hate those people. But the book is it's so superior.
Oh,
that it like, you know what I mean? That like, it just makes this, it just doesn't do it for me at all.
Yeah, no. Nostalgia will only get you so far.
100%.
So for all the people that are like, oh, you guys are full of shit, like we get a lot of hate comments on Rosemary's Baby because we didn't like how old-fashioned it was compared to today, which, by the way, is what this show does. So read the fucking description before you chastise us about doing our fucking jobs correctly. That being said, understand that you probably like this movie more for the nostalgia of when you saw it, the book, whatever the fuck is mixed in with it. I totally get that. That doesn't make it a good movie. It makes it a movie you like. Big fucking difference.
No, huge difference. And by the way, that's okay. You can like this movie, not for me, not for him. If you like it, okay, have fun. Go watch it 100 times. I just don't have 3 hours to spend watching this movie.
No, I'd rather watch any 3. If I'm going to spend 3 hours watching a movie, I'll watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for the 50th fucking time.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, because it's just a better film. Period. Different.
Yeah.
Oh, I know I'm not apples to apples here, but it's fucking,
I'll go apples to apples with you, kinda. It's another 70s movie that's 3 hours long. I'll go watch the fucking Godfather and skip Salem
every day of the week. Every day, not even a question.
You know what I mean? So with that said, that's all I got, man. You got anything else?
No, man. It's looks to be about Call of Duty time for me.
That works. All right. Well, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1979's Salem's Lot. I'm
at Idle Poncho on PlayStation. Come get some. Come get some.